Heating and cooling costs account for roughly 40 to 55% of a typical home's energy use. So, obviously, this time of year, we're getting into spring. Things aren't as cold as they were, but this past winter was relatively brutal in some areas. Heating costs way up. And as summer approaches, if you use air conditioning, that's going to affect it as well. So why does it cost that much? Well, part of it is you have a leaky house and you got a lot of air moving in and out of it. And so it costs more to heat it if you have drafty windows, doors, attic, etc. So the number one angle in all this is not, quote, going green. It's about cash flow and it's about your comfort. The number one ROI upgrade is insulation and air sealing. You've probably heard a lot about, well, do you have enough insulation in your attic? Well, attic insulation deficiencies are among the biggest common inspection findings. We're not going to be real bent out of shape over it. It's just what your house has. It's not necessarily a defect. It's just what your house has. And it's also an area that you can improve it. So if we go into the attic and we see deficient attic insulation, it will be noted in a home inspection report. And then it's your choice what you want to do about that. So why is insulation a big deal? Well, you've all heard the term, and hopefully you learned it in school, that heat rises. As your home heats, and we're going to talk primarily about heating in this session because we're in the northern climate and you're going to deal with heating issues more than you'll deal with cooling issues, which is what, if you were in Florida, you would probably deal with that a whole lot more. So as heat rises, your furnace produces heat, it warms the air. Well, as it warms, it rises. And as it rises, it hits that ceiling, and then it gets into the attic, and then it escapes. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, about how to stop some of that. But that is just a very simple explanation of how heat rising and easily transferring through your attic, through your ceiling, is costing you a lot of money. Now, we've done home inspections before where someone inadvertently or intentionally has had ductwork going into the attic and actually literally heating the attic or cooling the attic, depending on the time of year. And that's a massive energy loss. You wouldn't even think of doing that, right? The attic essentially is outside air, especially if it's ventilated properly. And so no one would even think of doing that, but inadvertently, that's what you're doing if you don't have good air sealing, and that's point number 2.